The Korean issue is a very complicated one. North Korea, it's not just a North Korean problem or North Korean nuclear problem as it is usually presented. What is going on in Northeast Asia is a Korean problem. Well, one, which was immediately suggested by the media, that just a revolution will follow. Kim Jong-Un is an inexperienced young man who can't control the army and the party, and the people, oppressed people of North Korea will rise against the dictatorship and demonstrate to the world that the wave of revolutions which are now crossing the world just 20 years after the first wave of revolutions, Soviet Union collapse and East Europe democratization, will now show the world that social sciences really work and we really can predict the future. No, it didn't happen in North Korea at all. Why did it not happen? Because revolutions don't happen without certain conditions. Well, a variety of experts and thinkers try to predict revolutions and make them possible. Lenin was the probably most ingenious and most skilled practitioner of revolution. Karl Marx enabled him with the theory. But North Koreans are good learners. The elite of North Korea, starting with Kim Il-sung, the head of the King's dynasty, realized that people, weak people, malnourished, underfed, and powerless people simply cannot rise up against their oppressors. People who have some modicum of freedom, people who have freedoms of information, freedom of travel, communication, they actually might ask questions. People who are devoid of these freedoms can't. And this is what we can see in North Korea. So apparently it's a classless society. Well, there are some groups, elite groups, and there's some interest groups, stakeholders groups, but generally it's classless. There's no class of property owners or class of laborers and workers and peasants. Generally, North Korean society is very homogeneous. So simply there's no change, there's no reason for one class to rise against the other. That's one of the main foundations for the revolutions, and it's not in North Korea. There are some three groups, like the core group of revolutionaries and their descendants who are loyal to the regime, the group of vacillating people who have some, who don't have impeccable background, those who have relatives in South Korea or in Japan, or those who come from the families of peasants who are supposed to be small landholders. And the third group of people is the hostile group, those who are already being watched by public security agencies and perish in the system of gulags. So simply there's no clear conflict in North Korea to follow. There's no conflict in the elite groups as well, because the elites are all members of a very narrow circle, the circle of former anti-Japanese revolutionaries and military guerrillas. This circle was narrowed down by Kim Il-sung back in 1950s after the Korean War, when he eliminated any groups of potential rivals, potential hostile groups like Chinese Koreans or Russian Soviet Koreans. So it's a very homogeneous group of elite. So their children and grandchildren, they occupy the positions of power, and they're very happy with their privileged position. They don't expect any improvement because they live a comfortable life. They don't want any change, and of course they would support anyone who will promise them the continuation and stability in North Korea. They don't care about common people, about difficult conditions of life in the rural provinces. They are very self-serving and focused on their welfare. So again, there's no split, any kind of conflict among the elites. The state is very much personalized by the king's family. The whole Democratic People's Republic of Korea is treated as a hereditary estate of the king's family. Whatever is in North Korea, apparently it's a people's property, but it's often managed, micromanaged by the state, sponsored by the king's family. All trade is being supervised by members of the family. Even if you go to Pyongyang and go to St Petersburg fast food restaurant, something a novelty in Pyongyang, kind of hamburger place in Pyongyang. Who does it belong to? Well, it's being managed by the Ministry of Light Industry. headed by Kim Jong-Il, the younger sister of Kim Jong-Il. So business in North Korea is also very firmly in the hands of party bureaucrats and elite. Some businesses belong to the Korean People's Army, some businesses belong to the Korean Workers' Party, and some are clearly managed by the Kim's family. Political culture of resistance does not exist in North Korea, as I just said. In the 1950s, Kim Il-sung eliminated any potential rivalry to his Seoul leadership. Kim Jong-il continued what his father started, and the very difficult years of 1990s when Soviet Union collapsed, China improved its relations with South Korea and stopped providing aid unconditionally, was a very grim period for North Koreans. North Koreans starved. Different sources give different accounts, something between 300,000 and 3 million people. We don't know exactly, and probably those who died of starvation-related diseases definitely more. So people were weakened during those years of 1990s. Then people were given some hope by Kim Jong-il, who assumed the leadership position in North Korea in 2002. North Korea realized that without market mechanisms, it simply could not restore stability and feed its own people. So in 2002, in July, the so-called 1st of July economic measures were introduced. And people believed that it was a major signal to reform the economy. North Korea started producing more agricultural products, international trade improved, relations with South Korea was booming at that time because of the 10 years of sunshine policy. So there were a variety of factors which improved life in North Korea during the 10 years between 1998 and 2008, when Kim Jong-il happened. In 2008, two major events happened. Kim Jong-il got sick in August or September. He apparently had a major stroke, which incapacitated him for almost a whole year. The power was taken over by his close associates, first of all, members of family, Chang Song-taek, husband of his younger sister, Kim Jong-Il. So there was a major rollback in those market freedoms. Also 2008 was the year when President Lee Myung-bak came to power with his election promise to be pragmatic in relations with North Korea. Pragmatic means being realistic. What South Korean president was doing was clearly disengagement and kind of disengaging from North Korea, reneging on all agreements between North and South Korea, and simply putting on shelving all agreements and relations, both cultural and economic. So North Korea became isolated again. Domestically and internationally, the nuclear crisis persisted, six-party talks stalled, and just in the middle of some hopes of improvement in relations between the United States and North Korea, just several weeks before the United States was just about to promise to resume the food aid, humanitarian aid to North Korea, Kim Jong-il dies. Well, we saw that adjustment revolution is simply not in the cards, current North Korean affairs. The second scenario is the possibility of Kim Jong-un being supported, ostensibly supported by the interest groups, but behind this screen, smoke screen of stability, a sort of hidden struggle might unfold in Pyongyang. Chang Song-taek against military officials, the Korean Workers' Party against the family members. Is it possible that the members of elite try and depose Kim Jong-un as incompetent, as legitimate, and say establish some new regime where say the Democratic People's Republic of Korea will probably continue in title, but launch a sort of reform and try to progress along a different direction, which was prescribed by Kim Jong-il before he died. Well, it is unlikely simply because the elite groups in North Korea live comfortable life. They know that they have many privileges like traveling overseas. Most of the children engaged in international trade and foreign affairs. They occupy positions of power in the party and in the army, so they know that any change, any kind of attempt to improve this system will very likely lead to its collapse. Something what happened in the Soviet Union was very educational. Gorbachev in 1980s, mid-80s, proclaimed the policy of perestroika. He did not want to change the regime, obviously. I lived in the Soviet Union. I remember the 86th Congress of the Communist Party was calling upon the building of communism just back in the 1980s. This was rather ridiculous. People would not support it. And Gorbachev tried to fix the system simply to avoid the collapse, but it was not possible. Very soon, Gorbachev himself realized that the game was up and he had to, well, Soviet Union disintegrated and power was transferred to the republics. North Korea is in a very different state. North and South Korea still technically at war with each other. They can't pursue the policy of openness or perestroika, or even the Chinese type of reform is unimaginable for North Korea. Because Chinese type of reform, if you remember, started by Deng Xiaoping when? In 1979. Exactly the same year, the United States diplomatically recognized People's Republic of China. The United States are not going to recognize the DPRK. It was very close to that point when President Clinton was sending Madeleine Albright to Pyongyang. There was a talk about diplomatic recognition, no more. So for North Korea, without diplomatic recognition of the United States, without developmental aid, not just humanitarian aid, but developmental aid from South Korea and other allies of the US, Japan, South Korea group, it's impossible to feel secure. So North Korea is not going to open up. North Korea is not going to allow its citizens to travel and do normal things like trade, cultural exchanges without clear diplomatic recognition and security assurance. So elites are not very interested in any change. What's the third scenario, and the last one, and probably most likely one? That nothing is going to change in North Korea. Kim Jong-Un is going to learn, put his hands on the job and learn from his patrons and mentors, those who are much older and more experienced than him. It's not a problem that he is only 28, this year he turned 29. According to Korean counting system, he's 30. Well, and this year was is particularly important for North Korea because Kim Jong-il's anniversary, 70th anniversary, was just celebrated by North Koreans. In April the 15th, North Korea is going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Kim Il-sung. So this year was supposed to be the crucial year when North Korea promised to announce the stage when it had reached the stage of being a rich and prosperous state. But when Kim Jong-il died just weeks before the end of the year, I thought it was a very convenient occasion. Now, North Korea does not need to proclaim itself strong and powerful. So how come they strong and powerful without the leader? They don't need to keep up this promise. They don't need to really celebrate. These all celebrations can be toned down, and they can save a lot of money on all the celebrations, which are not going to be as bombastic as they're supposed to be. The AIIA Festival is going to take place in April, as it was just announced a couple of days ago, but we know that tourists can't book their trips anymore. Some of in the audience have already booked trips to North Korea in April, but recently North Koreans don't accept any bookings. North Korea had a very modest celebration of Kim Jong-un's 29th birthday, which was only marked by the documentary about his achievements. It was something which dwarfed the cultural personality of even his father. So Kim Jong-il is now eulogized as the greatest of great leaders, as a jack of all trades, as a genius of all geniuses. He knows absolutely everything, and particularly in military affairs, and he's supported and respected by the party, the army, and the people, and the army and the people of Korea. I can't see any challenge to Kim Jong-un's single-handed rule by being supported by the army, the party, and the family members is very secure.
I also was contacted by the media at the time of Kim Jong-Il's death. And the point I made to them, the same as you did, mate, was that don't panic. These things are being sorted through, and my confidence was that it would be sorted through. So please don't run the headline you ran this morning, which was, there's a frenzy in Korea about what's happened. There wasn't a frenzy in Korea about what's happened. Koreans understood. And those who understood Korea understood. But it was just such a good headline story that it had to run that way. This whole characterization of Kim Jong-Il as some lunatic, which the media loved to feed on, and missed the whole point of what's going on. He was a bloody good poker player. He has, for his one little card, nuclear weapon, he's played that on leverage at least 3 times now and got major concessions. And they've still got it to play it again. It's like the joker in the hand.
The process of opening North Korea is very much hindered by the continuing Korean War. It's basically civil war, where North Korea can't afford to open up because people will learn what has been happening to them for those 60 years. They know that, the North Koreans know that they live a difficult life, that South Koreans live better, but they don't know how much better. And information is simply not circulating. So nothing is going to change in North Korea until 2 things. Until the members of the League, Kim Jong-Un himself or some of his close associates, voluntarily decide to meddle with the system. Try to improve it, try to change it, but open up, or something like that. So any drastic change in North Korea can be initiated from the top only. Another possibility is well, the major change in international regional policies, first of all.